Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Pondering the Process, where we embark on a journey of discovery with some of the most creative minds in the community and explore the making of their latest projects. Today we're exploring the musical creativity of Emmanuel Eze, who's here to talk with us about his new song titled Nuff. Hey Emmanuel, how's everything going? It's a pleasure meeting you, by the way. Thank you for...
It's a pleasure meeting you as well.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. Thank you for taking the time to be here. And we're going to discuss on your song titled Nuff. I gave it a few listens. I think it's pretty good. I like the message behind the song. So let's... Oh, you're welcome. So let's give the audience a bit of the background behind the song and why you decided to go with the lyrics. So can you tell us more about the inspiration and how you came up with the lyrics?
Okay, to do that, I'm going to give you a little bit of a history as to how the song came about. So a couple of years ago, I was in a music school, a music institute called 10 Strings, where I was studying a diploma course on music production. And I had amazing friends in my set, talented friends. And one day I decided, you know what, let's go back to my other brother's apartment in Aja. Let's just take a break of vacation weekend. Let's go create some music. And so we did that. And funny story, there was a serious traffic that day. So we ended up getting to Aja around like 1 a.m. It was crazy. But we love music so much, so we decided, we dived straight into it. And then that was 2019. And that was the first time the idea for Nuff was ever created. And yeah, we recorded a part of it, but we ended up finishing the song fully in 2022, around December 2022. I did a random rap that day and it just came out, the people are hearing, people are talking, and it had to do with the government. And I was like, okay, you know what, I'm going to take this part. Well, along the line, before we finished it in 2022, a lot of things happened. I had a lot of epiphanies, a lot of ideas, a lot of lessons learned, and just from watching the way things were going on in Nigeria. And I felt like I had a responsibility to pass certain messages to the people through my music. And to be fair, these all came from the fact that I wanted to be one of those musicians who reflected the times through their music. Because I do a lot, but I realized through my music, or as a celebrity, when I do become one, I can be a leader. So I don't just want to be someone who just creates music for fun and vibes and all that. I would do that, but also I'm taking a responsibility upon myself to sensitize specifically the youths. It's an avenue to teach and reflect the times that I'm in through my works. So yeah, that was pretty much the inspiration of me really going in depth into the issues of Nigeria in that song. So.
That's pretty interesting, actually. So I'm kind of intrigued by the fact that you said it took you from 2019 to 2022. Has there been a huge difference in the 2019 version versus the 2022 version, or did things not change enough where the song didn't need to evolve as much? Does that make sense?
Okay, so why that gap was because a lot of reasons, but I'll give you like 3 major reasons. One, I'm someone who really prides myself in being very, very deliberate with my craft. So along the line, I've had a lot of friends and colleagues who have rushed into, dropped music and all that. But I felt like music is a career that I'm diving into, and I'm giving it nothing but my best. So I wasn't in a hurry putting out music. After my diploma course, I ended up doing a postgraduate, what I'm doing right now with the University of West London. I'm doing music technology and audio tech, which is a higher form of music production. And I did a lot of other certificate courses and specifically studied music business. So I wanted to understand all these things in depth before I put out my first song, so as to make a lot of impact as well as make a lot of money from it as well. Because I think that's one of the places that a lot of upcoming creatives in Nigeria are kind of lacking, understanding the concept of intellectual property and that music is sort of like a business. You have to make money from it. Also, I think what I benefited from that time gap was the fact that as a musician, as a writer, I grew, because I had just come into the country recently in December 2018 from schooling outside. So I was more of a rock and roll, blues, jazz, country vibes. So that space of time allowed me to actually soak in the African culture, allowed me to actually experience Nigeria all over again, see the problems, experience the problems as a young man trying to thrive and create something for himself. And it opened my eyes to a lot of things, and spending time with people like Seun Kuti as well, and working with him and understanding the Afro music in depth. It was perfect timing. It was just amazing for me to have that whole space, experience all these things, and then dive in and finish off the music with the knockout punch. So
I see. So that 3 year was a learning curve, basically. It was a time for evolving for you.
Exactly. Yeah, because to be fair, a couple of my friends who heard this were amazed. They were like, bro, is this you? Keep in mind, people see me as kind of like Ajebo because I've been outside for a while. So I grew up on musicians like Coldplay, the Beatles, Queen. So a lot of people would have never believed I could do something Afro or even speak Pidgin like that. So yeah, that space was really, really needed for me to tap into my African side.
That's great to hear. That's actually pretty inspiring. I like that. It's always nice to go and get in touch with your roots and have that influence what you're doing. I'm happy you had that chance. Okay, so you've told us what the inspiration was, right? Which is you wanted to be a musician that's not just putting stuff out for vibes. You wanted something that reflects the time. But then what do you want people who are listening to Nuff to take away from it?
Okay, so initially, Nuff was just supposed to be me talking about the basic trials and tribulations, or what it is to be an average Nigerian and the struggles you go through, and to know that someone out there really is going through the same thing as well, like we experience the same thing, so we are all one at the end of the day. That's what it was supposed to be. You listen to the song, I'm like, everyone, they feel the same thing where they feel and all that, and kind of like ginger yourself to persevere and all that, because at the end of the day, I strongly believe Nigeria will be great. Like, there's no doubt. Yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day. But then as time started passing by and then election was drawing close, it just occurred to me, one of the things too I learned in strategy, music business strategy, as to sometimes knowing strategic moments to drop songs that can actually help you promotion. So I realized that elections were coming soon. There was the whole chaos and people were like, we need to change, we need to know who to vote for properly. And I felt like this song was supposed to come out at that period, because I dropped it a day before elections, but I was doing a little bit of promotions like a couple of weeks before elections. So it was like, okay, you know what, people, we've gone through this crazy shit with the government, we've been tried and tested, chewed and spit out, we should have sense by now. So listen to this song, hear that we've been going through shit. For example, there's a part in the song that says 100 naira do the one slice. I really wanted to speak so much, and I remembered when a couple of months ago, because I stay in Ikeja sometimes, from Ikeja to Ojota would cost me like 100 naira, and then one day it was like 150, and then one day I woke up in the morning, this is like within the space of 2 days, and all of a sudden it was 200. And I'm like, how are people just increasing prices like that? So that's why, like, when I said 100 naira to the one slice, because literally I love plantain, but I realized that some places I go to, man, food prices were like all of a sudden just becoming outrageous. So like, these are the things that the average Nigerians, we understand this pain. There's a line in the song too that says, look at the lies, Oga, CC dollar the rise. I specifically put that there because when you live in a place like Ikeja, where Computer Village, if people who know Ikeja very well will obviously know Computer Village, and there was a time where the exchange rate got so outrageous that the prices of things automatically had no choice but to rise. But then you would see some, off the top of my head, I can't really come up with any tangible examples right now, but you would see people who had businesses or products that really don't get affected by exchange rates will automatically join the trend and increase their prices, and they will now lie to like, okay, dollar they rise now. And I had an argument with one guy one day. I went to buy something, I can't remember. I was like, bro, exchange rate has nothing to do with your product, so don't come and be telling me, okay, dollar they rise. And this is something that the average Nigerian experiences and goes through. So that's pretty much why I felt like, guys, listen to this song before elections, get riled up, let's go do the right thing. And that's why I did that. Yeah.
So it's a call to action.
Call to action.
I like that. Yeah, so another interesting thing about the song is that it combines elements of Afrobeat, rap, and orchestral arrangements. So can you tell us how you came to blend these different genres together in your music?
Genres.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have soaked up a lot of genres growing up. From a young age, I was introduced to music by my parents. Fortunately for me, unfortunately for them, anyway, because they weren't really cool with it when they found out that I really want to take music as a career. And in my head, I'm like, you guys were the ones who bought me a piano at the age of 9. I got me a music tutor that was teaching me how to read music, like sight read at the age of 9. Well, look at me now, years later. So yeah, from a young age, I was introduced to a lot of genres, and they reflect on who I am, because I feel like all the people who I've listened to, I owe it to them, or their style to be seen in what I do. I consider myself as a global musician. Every part of the world should see something that they can resonate with when they listen to my music. So the orchestral part they heard in Nuff is a part of me that comes from movies. I grew up in a lot of movies. There's this thing I tell my friends, 70% of the knowledge that I have right now and who I am has come from all the movies I've watched growing up. It got to a stage in my life where watching movies was really no longer for entertainment. I watch and I learn intricate details, down to the importance of soundtrack, the importance of certain sounds in a scene, the importance of using music on a major scale, music on a minor scale, and how music translates emotions. So soundtrack composition for movies is actually where I want to go and retire. Like, that's my retirement plan when it comes to music. Like, which is why I'm also doing production. I've done a lot in my catalog. I've not put them out yet because I'm not ready for that side of my career. But my retirement plan is having dreams to like orchestrate for Disney movies, Marvel or DC movies as well. So I felt like, oh, it would be cool to kind of like throw in that element of it into Nuff, you know. And I was quite skeptical. I didn't know it was going to work, but with the help of people like Fikayo, who was a co-producer I worked with, we were able to bring that into reality and throw in a lot of things. I loved rap growing up as well. I listened to Eminem and MI. They were the major rappers that I listened to growing up. And Drake. So I'm great at rap as well. I don't consider myself a rapper, honestly, but like people are like, oh, you're good at rap. So I did that, threw in the rap, threw in the Afro side, threw in the orchestral side, and voila, we had an amazing product called Nuff. So
that's interesting. So right from time you've been about sounds, right?
Yep.
Like even when you're watching movies, you're thinking, what is the soundtrack going on here? What's going on in the background, right?
Exactly.
It's pretty interesting. So it's actually nice to see that you've taken that even further, released your own sound, right? Mm-hmm. Is there a story behind the instrumentals, or is that something you guys just put together?
So there is actually. In fact, I did a shoot yesterday with my team and part of a shoot today as well, because I'm putting together a documentary of the making with the people who were involved in it, because there's this thing I want to do as well where I want people to actually see what it's like, an intimate feel, what it's like to make a song. So there's a lot of stories, but I'll just keep it brief. So I did my university studies in Sri Lanka. It's a beautiful island in Asia. I studied electronic engineering. While I was there, that showed me that my boy, this engineering team is not really calling destined for stardom. So I co-founded a rock band called The Odyssey. Great guys. We became kind of like a household name. We built ourselves, won certain competitions. So I became a celebrity actually in another man's land. So for me right now, music is not even really about I want to blow anything. I just want to be very deliberate with my work. If it is about stardom and fame, I've enjoyed that life. While I was there, I had this amazing friend. She's in her late 50s now. Amazing lady. She just picked up music when she was old, and she introduced me to a lot of cool old school music. And what we would do is she would want me to listen to them and translate the songs in my own way, and then we'll play it live at certain pubs and certain lounges, certain hotels, 7-star hotels. So there's this particular one that was my favorite, and I listened to the song and I translated it in my own way and I played it in my own style. And I remember coming back to Nigeria in 2019. Crystal, amazing guy, he's the best producer I've worked with here in Lagos, and he was like, bro, let's make something. And I was sleepy because it was like 3 a.m. and I just climbed on the piano, which is my preferred instrument of choice, and I just remembered that piece that the lady showed me and how I translated it, and I played it. And if you hear the song Nuff, it is a specific motif that you hear being repeated always. It's a mallet sound, like so that is originally actually from a rock song but in my own style, I redefined it. So it's very unique actually that this amazing Afro song was actually able to take something from the rock genre and throw into it. And then he just did his magic, put in the Afro drum percussions and everything. And that's how the instrumental was born. Yeah, a combination of African and rock and roll. So
That's pretty cool. I like how you're explaining it. It makes it seem like it was an easy thing to blend all of these, but it's probably because of how you've been immersed in everything. That's why you're able to blend all of this, right? But like the way you're telling us makes it seem like, oh yeah, just threw this in here, threw this in here, threw this in here. But I'm pretty sure the reality was it wasn't easy. It just helped that you knew a lot about
what I was doing.
Genre.
Yeah.
Oh,
True,
yeah.
True.
Right. So don't cut yourself short. Give yourself credit. But yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. So
Thank you very much.
especially after I listened to this song, I could easily tell you were calling out the government for not listening to the people, for not being for the people. Like we discussed before, this is supposed to be a wake-up call. And you've said that you want to use your platform to create things for the times. You want to create things that will affect the people. You want to create things that the people relate with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that just going to be your preferred style? Like, how important is it for you that all your music addresses social and political issues? Or would there be times where you're going to have songs that really don't, just like chill vibe kind of thing?
Okay, so Emmanuel is going to be a musician who is global. So I have a lot of projects in the work. This particular song, Nuff, which is my first official release ever, is actually a single from a particular album that I'm going to be releasing in the nearest future. I think I forgot to mention, I also have a band here in Nigeria that I co-founded with an amazing individual called Toby, aka Seun Kuti. And most of our song is going to be incredible but really weird. And Nuff is an excerpt, it's taken out from an album we're going to be doing that is going to be really touching Nigerian history and as to how it relates to the problems we have. And for that particular album, I have done as much as going back to read books like There Was a Country by Chinua Achebe, which then even now linked me to read a book called My Command by Olusegun Obasanjo, because I'm trying to understand fundamental issues and where the fundamental problems we have in Nigeria. Because trust me, I just recently found out that we don't even do history anymore as a subject in Nigerian schools. So I can bet you that 80% of Nigerians right now don't even know fundamental things that have happened. And I'm talking pre-independence, post-independence, pre-civil war, post-civil war, and how this actually affects the most basic issues, even down to tribal wars and everything, or tribalism that we have in Nigeria. And I feel like if Nigerians can understand the root causes of these problems, it's a step forward to actually building a better nation and establishing peace. Because not everybody has time to go and reading books. Not everybody has time to watch movies. But a fundamental thing that the average person in Nigeria loves is music. So if I can do that through my music, teach people with not just boring sound. I pride myself in knowing how to create beautiful music, because like you mentioned earlier, I dedicated my time to actually understanding the fundamental aspects of sound and as to how they relate with human emotions. So if I can do this with my music and get people to understand these things, I mean, I feel like I would have done a lot. So that's going to be a part of my music, right? But
Yes.
I also have an aspect of me that's going to do cool stuff, fun stuff, songs about love, because I've lived a life where I've loved, I've lost, I've hurt, I've loved again. So I believe in telling my life story and my journey through music, which is specifically why my alias is called Pilgrim, because music has actually literally taken me far and beyond, both literally and figuratively. So yeah, there's going to be a lot for me. I'm not just going to be focusing on sensitive issues and political and but it's going to be a major part. It's something I want people to remember me for. But I'm going to make the fun stuff. I'm going to have collaborations in the future where I'll make vibe and all that stuff. Yeah, so I have a lot to give. I have a lot to offer. Yeah.
That's great. Honestly, we would be open to talking more about future projects when they're out, because
Of course.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people would want to know the process and how much research you put into those songs, because I can already tell that you're going to put a lot of research into those projects. Right.
There's a particular one that, like I said, the one where I had to read about the history of the Civil War. In
Yeah.
fact, it was in a particular chapter, I just picked up my guitar. I felt like I was channeling the ancestors. I felt like I was channeling the people who lost their lives during the wars, both on the side of Biafra and the side of the federal government. I feel like I was channeling them because when I picked up my guitar, I was almost in tears. And I've played what I've created a little bit for some of my guys. Randomly, I just hear them once in a while just singing it a bit. And I'm like, yeah, this song is going to be very, very powerful. This is music that people will listen, and on some days you'll just be moved to actually be a better Nigerian. On some days when you listen to it, you just be giving hope that, you know what, the labors of our heroes past should not be in vain. Those kind of songs, especially this one, you will listen to it and I kid you not, you'll be walking on the road after you finish eating your gala. Subconsciously, you will throw your gala wrapper on the road. But you'll be like, no, I must be better Nigerian, and you pick it up. That's what I want to do in my music. A better Nigeria starts from you.
I like that. So you've mentioned Seun Kuti a lot. I can imagine that you were also probably influenced by Fela.
Okay, so funny story. So this is me being raw. I never actually gave a shit about Afro music before I actually came to Nigeria, because I was exposed to like foreign stuff. There was a reason why I came back to Nigeria. And someone just invited me to come and watch Seun's rehearsals. And yes, I had heard about Fela before. At least I'd known just the major ones like Zombie. That's all I knew. But when I spent time and listened live to Seun and his band perform, which the band he has right now, a couple of members in that band, so they're old individuals who also played for Fela when Fela was alive. So when I got to soak that in, I got to realize the rich heritage we have. In the past 2 years, I've listened to Fela's songs and Seun's songs like crazy. I've had the privilege to work with him. I've had the privilege of performing alongside him. You got to see my dedication, coming a lot of times to watch his rehearsals. You got to find out I was good at rapping. Got the privilege to, he took me to Echo Hotel one time when I had a big show. I was like, you know what, come and rap on one of my songs. And he's a big mentor, and I don't joke with him at all. Like, what I'm learning from being in that circle as an African, it's priceless. So, yeah.
I like that. Learn from the best, and you have the chance to get there too and surpass them. I'm actually very impressed at how you come back with little to no knowledge about how African music works, how Afrobeat works, and immediately just found a mentor, and now you're already in that space. You're already trying to get to that level of your mentor. So that's a lot of dedication. Another thing I wanted to ask is, how do you navigate the balance between creating music that fulfills your soul and something that's socially conscious? Because it's very easy for you to start your research, soak up something and start putting things on paper, and then finding out that, oh, this is fulfilling to me, but maybe it's too harsh on some certain people, or I can't share this with other people. Those kind of things. How do you find that balance where you're not insulting people, you're being socially conscious, but you're also getting fulfillment that comes with, yes, I'm getting my message across?
Okay, so one word, diplomacy. This is something that I just found myself having to learn over the past couple of months, especially when it comes to dealing with humans. And you get to understand that every individual has his or her own opinions, every sect, every tribe, every religion. But at the end of the day, still, on everything, truth is universal. But you need to understand how that truth varies across different people and across different sects. There's something my dad told me, sort of like a blessing, but two things he said to me. He said, show me a man who is diligent in his works, and he will stand before kings. You know what you want to do, be diligent in it, and you'll be great. Also, he wanted me to be very, very rooted in my convictions, meaning know who you are, know what you want to stand for, and never change. So having this and combining it with diplomacy, you would see that sometimes some truths are harsh. That's a fact. Some truths will hurt some people. Now, diplomacy seeks of you that you know how to pass across that truth in a way that it doesn't hurt certain people. Diplomacy will teach you when is the appropriate time to drop certain truth. And then your convictions also teach you that under no circumstance should you actually taint that truth. In layman terms, don't lie. Because when you've built a certain level of trust with the audience, when people know you as a man who keeps his word, you can't taint that. So it's easy to want to not offend some people, because when it comes to media and politics as well, and it's very tricky. It will get to a point where the truth has to be said, damn the consequences. And why are you damning the consequences? Because the aftermath of the truth, it is for a great cause. So it's left to you, are you willing to bear the consequences? That's where selflessness comes in. Do you want to be selfish, or do you want to be selfless? Do you want to care? Do you just about yourself or the greater good of people? Because Fela knew what he was doing. He wanted to make everyone aware of the errors of the government. He suffered police brutality. He suffered the death of his mom. He suffered. Look at how his family is today. His kids are benefiting in terms of intellectual property and royalties. My God. I know that is not supposed to be a major benefit, but they are reaping the benefits of the sacrifices that the dad had to make. So to buttress your point, yes, sometimes diplomacy has to come in hand to know how to deal with these issues. But also, never compromise. When the truth has to be said, and you have to do the right thing, just do it. It's easy in theory, it's harder to, act it out, but it is just what it is.
It is. That sounds pretty good. So always make sure that your message is truthful. That's a good summary. Like, even if people are hurt, it's more like you're hurt now, but when the truth actually opens your eyes, you're going to see that this hurt doesn't need to be there. These are facts, and once you accept those facts, you can let go of a lot of pain or hate or whatever is going on.
Yeah, you couldn't have put it better. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. So I don't want to consider you an aspiring musician, because you mentioned before you've been almost to the top in another man's land, right? And you've come back, you've redone your style, you've started relearning. But I do want to ask you, as somebody at your level who's learning from the best, from Seun Kuti, has there been any certain advice that Seun Kuti has given you that has impacted you deeply and made you even want to create music that makes change and make more positive impact on society? Has any of his words particularly moved you to keep going down that path?
I wouldn't even say a direct advice per se, like he told me, oh, do this. But I'll give you a story of something that really blew my mind, that made me realize, okay, this is someone I should pay attention to and really learn from. And this is how it happened. So I think after the event at Echo Hotel, which he took me along for, I think it was a week later, he had another show in a club in Lekki, and I was privileged to accompany the band as well. This performance he was doing was going to take place between 1 and 3 a.m. So he was performing there, club setting, and I was watching the whole atmosphere, but it was noisy. It wasn't really my style, and I'm wondering, Seun was going to play live music here. And off the corner of my eye, I noticed a lot of people were buying stacks of money just to spray. So Seun gets up on the stage, starts performing. 5 to 10 minutes in, everybody got into the African spirit. Like, it was as the whole club turned into a concert hall. That style of music cut across anybody. People were in their zone. That was 1. 2, some people that now got carried away with the whole beauty of the music came and started spraying money. And the stage, because it's a club stage, so it's not really huge like a concert stage, so he couldn't really contain his whole band, so they had to really maximize space as much as they can. They were really squeezed. So a lot of people were coming, throwing money, spraying money on his dancers, buying cash, spraying money. And then at a point when he took a short break, he said a few words and it blew my mind. And this is what he said. He cracked a joke for it. He said he feels like the male version of female strippers are male musicians, because you just stand there and then people just come spray you money while you're performing. And then he spoke to them and was like, guys, I'm not a stripper. I'd rather, if you want to give me money, come after the show, put it in an envelope or something, and give me this money, rather than just spray it and all that. And then he continued the show. And literally, people started actually coming to the stage and dropping, like they put it in envelopes. Some people bought the stats and were keeping it properly behind the stage with his managers and everything. It just went to show that this is someone who people respect in the industry. That when he speaks, and when he speaks reason, they listen. Literally, people stopped spraying money in the club. He was the only one they did it for, and they arranged it properly, respectfully, and dropped it. The third thing that happened, extremely amazing. He took a break during one of the performances and started talking to the crowd in the club. And I can't remember in detail everything he said, but I will summarize it. This was during the era where NSAS kind of like had just almost concluded, and then there was a period where there was the ban on Twitter for a bit, so we couldn't speak out. The government was trying to stop the youth from expressing themselves and putting things out there. And Seun said this. He knows it's not really a bad thing per se, but he's noticing that most of the people who are at the club, the young people, are focused more on who has more money than who is buying the most expensive drinks. And it was like, to be fair, he wants to see better from them. It's like the government, in their own way, have limited the youths to speak out, whether publicly or even on social media. And he felt like the club was the one place where we had the freedom to be who we were. And so he told them, it was like, instead of using this as an opportunity to beef yourselves or show who has more money, you guys can spend time as well in the clubs and discuss ways on how you can better Nigeria. Things that you can do as youths. This is your safe haven. This is the place where nobody will disturb you, where police will come and disturb you and talk. And I promise you, when that was over, I was able to see 2 different cliques where guys were talking to themselves. I remember everyone was like, "Oh, waiting, this can make sense." Bro, I was moved. I was like, this is what music is supposed to be. That was the third reason that I was like, yep, I need to stick with this guy.
I see. It's always nice when you see your heroes in a certain light, because usually what happens is you hear about your heroes from other people, but then when you experience them and they are even more than you expect, it's always very refreshing. I mean, that's not to say that the opposite can't be a thing, right? Like sometimes some people meet their heroes and they're like, oh, I do not like this person.
Exactly.
In your case, it was, I met my hero, he's even better than I expected, and I will follow him wherever. Right? That's pretty refreshing to hear. It's not everyone that's as lucky, so count yourself lucky that you're one of those people.
Well, it's what it is.
It is what it is, honestly. Okay, so apart from music, right, do you have any other creative passions or hobbies?
Oh, bro, this could take a while, man. So I think the best way to answer this question is a jack of all trades as a person. So I do a lot of things. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I do a lot of extreme sports. I'm a fitness enthusiast. Everyone knows that about me. I don't joke with the gym. I don't joke with my fitness. So yeah, fitness is a major part of my lifestyle. It's something I also incorporate in my music as well. I play American football here in Lagos. It's really amazing. I have a team I'm in. I also hike. So while I was still out of the country, I always loved to hike. I've climbed a lot of mountains. I climbed, I think, there's this mountain called Siripada in Sri Lanka as well. I think it's on the top 15 tallest mountains in the world. So I did that with my friend. That was one of the best experiences of my life. Top 3, hands down. Seeing the sunrise at that peak. We were above a particular layer of the cloud. It was heavenly. That's the best thing I can say. I camp as well. I loved camping. Sometimes I'll go and just get lost in a forest for like one day on purpose. Try to navigate. So yeah, I'm a weird Nigerian. I also surf. Surfing is one of my major identities as well. So it took me a while before I found out that they were supposed to surf in Lagos. And then when I found that out, make it my obligation to surf as much as I can in Takwa Bay, actually. There's a community there. So I do a lot, honestly. In summary, I'm a lover of life and what is. Oh, I also act. I forgot to say that.
Okay.
I act as well. Yeah. Although my debut into the acting scenery came quicker than I expected, I always knew that I was going to end up in Hollywood through my music specifically. But I never knew it was going to come sooner. I always had dreamed to play Batman. So it's what happened, don't worry. It sounds impossible, but a man can dream. Yes.
Yeah, everything we're doing here sounds impossible. So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm on that wave.
So yeah, but I was in one of the biggest Nigerian Netflix movies that came out last year called Glamour Girls. So anybody that wants to go check it out, Glamour Girls, I played the hacker movie that helped them get the money from their clients and all that. So ended up speaking French. It was crazy, but yeah. So jack of all trades, to be honest. God gave me the grace to be able to do very well anything I feel like I'm excited or I'm interested in doing. So,
could you speak French already, or did you learn for the movie?
So, bro, when I said I want to play Batman, so I'm like the biggest Batman fan in Nigeria, hands down. Anybody can come. Anybody who's listening to this out there, come argue with me. Yes, feel free. Emmanuel Eze, Instagram, YeThePilgrim. Argue it any day. I'm the biggest Batman fan, bro. Yeah, in Nigeria. So one of the things that people know about Batman is prep time. Batman has prep time. You give him prep time, he can defeat any obstacle. So I learned French when I was in primary school and secondary school. I wasn't the best. You know, my sister is even better at French than I am. But I'm very good with languages and I'm very fast learner. I think one of the major things that really helped me as well is that I'm really great with accents, thanks to my years of watching movies. They sent me the script, so I had time to actually go through the script, which was in English, and I transcribed it for myself in French. And that day on the set, I was incredible. Some of the actors actually there who were veterans were like, "Oh, wow, bro, you're good. Can you help me run my lines to them in French? I don't know how to pronounce this." That was pretty much how I was able to get that sorted out.
That's nice. I respect the prep time and research. So earlier we discussed a glimpse into your future projects, which were how you're going to do research into the history of Nigeria, how you're going to make that into a project, and you even have other projects in the pipeline that you want to highlight.
So in the music scenery, I have different personalities. There's my rap persona. There's my production persona, like as a producer. There's my rock and roll. So the rock and roll side is a combination of rock and roll with blues and indie music. So I don't know if you know of a band called Coldplay.
I do.
Yeah, whenever you think of me, think of Coldplay, music like that. So I have that aside, which is also what me and my band will be focusing on. So most of the songs that my band, which is called The Recurrence, but that's a conversation for another day. Most of the songs we'll be doing, even the album where we'll be talking about Nigeria stuff, it's going to be a mixture of Coldplay and like Fela Kuti style of music. That's what you're going to be getting.
I see.
Yeah. So we're going to infuse that African aspect of it, but bring in the things that I've learned over the years, and we're merging it, creating new sound, experimenting. It's going to be fantastic because we've tested it on a couple of people and we fell in love with it. So yeah, I have that side with the band. I have my rap side, as I've said. I grew up on EDM as well, which is really what made me love production. So I have my EDM side that I will tackle when I need to. And then I have my classical side because I also grew up on classical music. But it'll be towards a period where I've actually accomplished what I need to do in the commercial scenery of music. When I've made a name for myself and I have time to relax and do some things. I have a dream of creating a music piece so amazing that I could stand up to the likes of Beethoven and Mozart and be referenced centuries to come. So I don't know, for other people, but for me, I feel like I need to settle down only for like 3 to 4 years to accomplish something like that. And then, like I said earlier before, retire with film score for movies. So I got a lot on my hands. Sometimes I'm like, man, I don't know if this lifetime is even enough for me to accomplish what I need to do, but we'll start from somewhere. So
interesting. Exactly. A lot of times we just feel like we have too much going on, but just taking one step at a time. Okay, so that's all the questions I have regarding the song Nuff. But before we end, I would just like to speak a bit about the app that we own, right? I don't know if you had the chance to look at it at all. It's called Udocreatives.
From what I know about it, at the moment, like you said, you're going to branch out, but at the moment you're quite focused on creatives in the area of painters, people who paint.
Picture-based creativity.
Picture-based
right.
creative. And yeah, ain't gonna lie, it's quite impressive because the creative arts industry in Nigeria has been suffering a lot. And I think we need people who can help with what you're doing exactly, you know, bringing people with serious talent into the light and getting them to be able to have the opportunity to have other people get to know them and get to know what they do. But feel free to actually give me or break anything down you want from me right now.
For sure.
As to what you guys do.
Yeah, so right now the app is, like you said, it's picture-based creativity, and you can add videos in a section called Glances that we will talk about later. But the main reason for it being picture-based creativity is because we're still such a small team that it's not worth us being able to struggle with copyright issues right now. In that sense, right? Like, for example, we don't have enough resources to be able to tell if somebody's putting their own intellectual property versus not. For like pictures or art or anything, we put automatic watermarks, right? We also have everything shown to the public, and you can easily report to say, okay, no, this is my work, right? And you show us proof, we can easily take it down. For music, it gets different, right? Because someone can say, oh, well, I just remixed this. It's not technically the same. You know, it just opens a whole new different kind of worms that we just haven't evolved to yet.
I get you. Yeah.
So that's why we can't really do anything that's purely sound-based, right? We can even do literature. Like, people put poems up there, right? They just put a picture of a fancy background with a poem on there, right? Like, people do that, but we just haven't cracked that code for copyright-free music because we just don't have the system in place. Over time, we will get there, but for now, it's really picture-based creativity. So, for example, someone like you, if you wanted to share something, you probably share about your lyrics, right?
Yeah,
so we have this thing called the Glances section, which is, instead of putting your final work on there, you put glimpses into your work. So someone like you could put a video of you working on your songs, right? You could put snippets on it. The only thing is that it lasts for 7 days. So it's like a 7-day story. The whole point behind that is the fact that what we've seen is that if you go on a lot of other social network, people have numerous posts. Sometimes you open someone's page, you don't really know what they're trying to spotlight in their page because they have something that's supposed to be the final product, but that final product is not being seen because it's being clouded by 1,000 other videos or process videos that people like to see, but again, they want to see the final thing, and it just ends up being like a huge search sometimes. And some people are into that, but some people are not. So what we've done is, while you put your post, we want you to put the final version of your work, and then in this Glances tab, which is a 7-day story, right, you can put all your progress on there. So somebody who's subscribed to you on the app can go on the Glances section and say, okay, so this is what he's been doing recently, and it stays on there for 7 days. So there's no pressure for you to post every day, right, to be seen. There's no pressure for that. The entire spotlight section of the app is pretty random in the sense where you don't need like 20,000 subscribers to be seen. Everybody has an equal opportunity to be discovered from the app, right? Wonderful. If you go on the spotlight section, the more you refresh it, the more new people come out, right? And there's no like, oh, you've been recently liking this kind of creativity, so we're only going to show you that. No, it's like, we want you to discover other things. We want people to be inspired, because take, for example, there was someone who talked to us who's on the app who's into drawing animals a lot, and then the person basically saw someone else's work of how they were drawing doodles of landscaping, and then all of a sudden it somehow inspired this person to go into doodling a lot, and now like this person is heavily doodling animals on the app. It's crazy. So like that made us happy, because what we're trying to do here is to show that there's not just one style, there's an infinite style of creativity that can be discovered, and even people who have found their style can still evolve based on inspiration they've seen by other people. So we've been trying our best to grow as much as we can. Obviously, it's not been easy. Like I said, we're a small outfit. We actually even haven't done any fundraising yet. We've been bankrolling it by ourselves. So that has also obviously come with some downsides, because we don't want to get to a point where we're doing it for the money, right? We want to make sure we have a good product. It's been a great journey. We've been working on the app for a while. We actually started off with a small website. So another thing we even have is this thing called the discussion feature, where people can ask questions. You can write different think pieces if you want. It's kind of like a forum, right? So we're trying to basically build up a hub. So the aim is to build a hub where somebody who wants to become a creative tomorrow can just go on there, check out all the information, check out most inspiring posts, check out the discussions that people have had, and be able to find their way from there without having to go through the hoops and making the same mistakes that other people have made in the past. We're trying to create a hub where everyone can come in, start, immediately see the mistakes of others, learn from them, basically making the creative process easier. So that's what we're going for.
That's fantastic. Really, really fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully look forward to collaborating with you guys in the near future on a lot of, incredible projects.
For sure, let us know. We're trying to showcase creativity as much as we can. So if you have any creative project that you want to collaborate with us on, we'll be open to that. We even started this new feature on the app called Events. That's just been released. So we're allowing people to post about events, post pictures from the events. We're not going to make it such a way where people sign up and pay from the event. It's more like an awareness thing. It's like, oh, this event is happening. Oh, I went to this event. I'm posting pictures about it. These are the things I saw. This is the story of the events. Things like that. So we're really trying to make sure that creativity gets the spotlight that it deserves. There's so much talent out there that's not being seen. There's so much talent out there that's struggling. There's so much talent out there that just need that big break. And if we can be part of the people who help that space, help these people get their big break, or if we can be part of the people who at least create a safe space for creativity, right? So let's take other apps. I don't really want to name call, but let's say like Instagram, for example, right? Like if you're an artist on there, you're competing against literally everyone else, right? Not just artists, you're competing against barbers, you're competing against influencers, you're competing against brands, like established brands, right?
You're actually competing against animals.
Exactly, you're competing against animals. So we're trying to make it that, no, we don't want competition. Like even on the app, if you like a picture, it doesn't show you the like count because we don't want people to be discouraged by that. Because sometimes what happens is that if you see a picture or a video has a low amount of likes, sometimes psychologically you'll be like, oh, I don't want to like this because it has a low amount of likes, right? Or if you see it has a lot of likes, you might want to like it because of that, even without checking the whole thing. So we don't want that. We want, like I said, we're trying to keep it as uniform as possible. So we want to make sure that everybody has the chance. You're not competing. It's not a competition ground for who has the most likes or who has the most views or who has the most subscribers. No, we want it to be a peaceful, safe haven where people can interact, talk, get inspired, discuss, learn from the masters. So that's what we're building towards, for sure.
Wonderful. That's really great stuff. Really great work. Yeah. I really love the concept of not having people judge based on likes, because sadly, our world is so shallow.
Yes.
Likes are what are used to judge the authenticity and the greatness of certain works. But I think that's going to actually be a very, very major breakthrough, honestly.
Thank you. So we're hoping for. Okay, that's basically all I have to say. So honestly, it's been great talking with you, Emmanuel. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. I
really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Enough is enough. 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 Okay. Y'all gotta listen to this. The people are hurting, the people are talking. The people are saying the government is not really performing. The government is performing. Look at the politics, look at the money trips. Look at the fast fall in quality of our economy. But the government that you hated, the product you created through negligence, you aided and abetted intelligence is sedated and they take you for granted. You tired of the madness.
I'm like yo, but a lot of things have got to change.
Shit, we've had enough. Enough is enough, enough is 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 You know, see, say dollar they rise. See opportunity, everyone shoot up your price. 100 naira to the one slice. Extortion is blowing out of proportion while the leaders are shooting the dice. They're taking their time to play with our minds. One old man sit down for 10 years, yet he no more resign. Yes, I'm implying he's whining and dining. His pockets is lining with looted funds while people are dying. And we look on, who are you whining? Look at the lies that we finding. Problems and matters arising. North, east, south, west, everywhere bloodshed, goddamn. Endless fighting. Endless fighting. Enough is enough, enough is enough, oh. 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 Enough is enough, oh. Enough is enough, enough is enough, oh.